Welcome to Hump Day. Let's get her rolling here. We've got a couple of things in the chart that I wanted to talk about, and then we'll talk about the macro picture, because I think this is, it's 1 degree, it's on our minds, and then the other thing is we're trying to make some real sense of it from a spiritual and from an astrological perspective, and I have a couple of thoughts on that. So first of all, let's talk about Mars, because I think that's probably the biggest catalyst today. The moon, actually, let's talk about the moon. So the moon is still in Capricorn. Definitely kind of gave us a little bit of a break yesterday. Yesterday seemed like a take a breath reprieve. The U.S. stock markets went up. The news around all of this stuff subsided. But the big shift that I'm seeing very clearly is toward the lockdowns. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the moon is in Capricorn. It will move into Aquarius tonight at 9:15 Eastern Time, p.m. Now, it's sitting about conjunct with Pluto if you're listening to this in the morning, as you're getting up and getting going, the moon is sitting at about conjunct Pluto, exact degree 24. It will move over and conjunct Saturn through the day, so it's going to cross over the Saturn-Pluto planet conjunction that has been triggering all this stuff. So that is going to definitely laser focus some trigger energy around Saturn-Pluto. What that looks like from a headline perspective, or, headlines are obviously reflections of what's going on in people's communities. So what people are going to be dealing with on that related to the coronavirus, I don't know. But you have a trigger element over the very catalyst of everything that's going on around us. The other thing is Mars and Jupiter are squeezing in next to each other. We've got about almost 1 full degree of separation. That is going to be definitely a conjunction to keep your eye on. When does that happen? Friday morning, early, 7:30 Eastern Time. That's Mars, Jupiter. Now, I don't know how cocked and loaded this energy is, but once the moon goes into Aquarius, see, that will be the first time back in Aquarius really since all of this stuff has broken loose on the virus worldwide, basically. And it will be interesting to see as these communities struggle with how to control their populations. And you have the biggest trigger device basically in the sky will be moving into the realm of independence, self-independence. So one of the things that you're hearing a lot is that people are not taking this seriously enough. Communities, cities, states, nations, no matter where you are in the world, are trying to push back against that and get this thing contained. So that battle will shift to the Aquarian playing field starting tomorrow, basically. And we'll see how that plays out for the next couple of days. Not only from the point of trying to contain, but also people who have been under containment, are they going to get really fidgety and want to get out of that? If they're feeling their lunar energy, they will. We'll see what that kind of situation presents. Now, the other thing I'd like to talk about for just a few minutes is the macro picture. It would not surprise me if we here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area get locked down here in the next week or so. And I think most of the bigger U.S. cities will see the same thing. That's not an astrological prediction. That's just looking at the tea leaves and seeing what's happening and realizing that once it pops in one place, the pattern of this has been that it spreads pretty quickly. So the pop was San Francisco. The spread is looking like perhaps New York second, and then it will trickle on to other places. We'll pick up on it. You guys, I have been combing the chart, racking my brain. Now, I'm producing a radio show that is on this topic now, basically. So part of that producer's job is being abreast of the news. So while there's a certain luxury in being able to turn the news off, unfortunately or fortunately, because of what I'm doing with this thing, I am in tune with what's going on. I'm seeing just a lot of asymmetry with this. There are a lot of things with it that don't make sense. Loose ends that are not tied up neatly, kind of like untied shoes. But I always bring it back to the filter of the astrological chart. And I swear to you, I have been trying to find some good on the other side of this chart. And I'm kind of coming to the point of just releasing into what is so, rather than trying to say, well, and I do believe in duality, that there are answers. And right now, we're kind of having a hard time seeing past the whatever is there. And there is something on the other side of this, and there are answers on the other side of this. But my partner, Majana, did a reading yesterday with a client. And in the connection with that reading, she was told in the shortest form of the message, it has begun. The shift, the changes have begun. There's no going back. And I told you yesterday in the grocery store, her dad showed up and just put loving arms around her. He's in the non-physical, but she senses that very closely. And he told her, get ready, and that it would be okay in the end. My family last fall came to surround me with love. So as I've been putting all of this together and then running it around in my mind and running it back through the astrological filter, when you look at the placements in the chart and then you compare it to the news of the day and you see what is happening in the world, the unfoldment of this is, we are in ominous times. I see some predictions that say this could last longer than a year. I see some that say if we do what China did and get this contained, we could be out of the woods and back to normal in about a month. What else is going on underneath or around this, I have no idea. But what I do know is that Saturn and Pluto, when they have appeared historically in the past, shift eras. They shift control. They shift sectors of influence, locations of influence. And the best thing on this is if you go to my Subconscious Mind Mastery podcast listeners private group in Facebook and ask to join, and then go to the live video that Majana and I did on Monday evening that explains all of that history. And yes, from an astrological perspective, I think we are somewhere in that kind of process. And the one thing that is common to those both situations that I covered is that the outcome of this is far, far better than what it was before. So I think the thing that we start to ruminate on and play with astrologically is, what if things as we knew it may not ever get back to normal like it was? Am I okay with that? And if so, how will I adjust? What actions do I need to take? What actions can I take? Those very basic questions that you've all been grappling with, all of us. And then I think we frame it up from spiritual perspectives. First and foremost, this is a soul-based journey, isn't it? And what I've adopted is that I am going to frame this up as something that my soul chose and knew very well that this was going to be in place. And whether we are in for just a short-term month or two long virus that soon is contained and just blows over, and this was a big event, but everything gets back on track, that could happen. Or if we are in some fundamental shift that creates the new world order, that my soul chose this time, my soul chose to be here. So I am along for the ride. I am along for the ride, whatever that brings. And I think for me, just in the context of all of this that has happened over the last 48 hours, that my grappling and wrestling and processing, like you're doing even right now, has led to just releasing and letting it be and unfolding whatever unfolds. We are here for a reason and a purpose, and that will eventually be quite clear. And what we have to go through between now and then is part of the journey, part of the cleansing, part of the process. I'm going to be a beacon of light in this, and that's what I've chosen to do. All right, and I will be keeping you abreast of what I see in the chart and how it unfolds. Have a good hump day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.